The Reds are on a 5-game winning streak. Noelvi Marte is beginning to finally look like a star, and the Reds are sitting just a game back of the Cubs. Kyler, we're watching this season turn around right before our eyes. Plus, what's really going on with Jeimer Candelario and his back injury? And also, Rhett Lowder is scheduled to make his return to the mound this weekend. Let's get into it on Reds Access. Welcome to Reds Access, your weekly source of Reds games, news, and more. Your hosts, Collin and Kyler Osterberger here. Just a reminder to our returning listeners and new listeners, do feel free to subscribe with a public profile. You will be entered into a giveaway when the Reds make the playoffs. By the way, the Reds currently do occupy a playoff spot as of today. Going over a $20 Skyline gift card in an MLB.com shop Reds hat. Again, you just have to be publicly subscribed so we can view your profile and enter you into our drawing. But Kyler, the Reds are coming off a 3-game sweep of the Rockies, a game before that, and a Cardinals win yesterday 3-1. Are we seeing the Reds make that surge to the team we thought they could be and push towards being a true playoff contending team?
Yeah, I hope so. It seems that way. I feel like we kind of discussed the last couple of weeks of just the hot and cold of the offense. I feel like pitching's been pretty solid all year, but the offense was struggling. Then we would put up 12 runs, so it didn't make much sense. But I think it feels like Tito's starting to get his reins on the roster and the lineups, and it seems like we're starting to see more success. But yeah, we've been running well the last couple weeks.
No, I totally agree, man. It seems like it took me a little while to get started. I'm going to use that excuse, right? Because there was a little while there I was kind of worried about Tito Francona and the way he's managing this team. And honestly, I thought, man, David Bell must be laughing his ass off somewhere watching us play the way we are. But he's finally figuring it out. And one thing, Kyler, I really saw was just Tito Francona's managing of the media. When he speaks to the media, and we'll talk about Jeimer Candelario later, it was in the news the other day that, he had a discussion with Jeimer about his role in the team moving forward. And the way he handled that was just masterclass, Kyler, compared to David Bell.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like Tito, he's really it almost is strategic when he talks to media. Like, he's very careful with what information he lets out. That way he's not kind of backed into a corner that oh, I said they're not going to start, but maybe they do, and you go back on your word and so forth. But I saw that interview as well. It seems like we're heading towards a benching. But what are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
I wouldn't say heading towards. He's not played in 3 days. They had a conversation yesterday and a conversation the day prior. He came into today. He was not in the starting lineup. They said he had a lower back injury that he happened to go to Terry Francona about yesterday or today and say, hey, man, I've kind of been keeping this from the team. I think it's a veteran move. Again, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the episode, Kyler, but I think that's a real veteran move from Jeimer Candelario and says a lot to the quality of guy. It's a guy that you want to root for more than like a Moustakas. Everyone compares the contracts. He got 2 years, $30 million plus remaining in that contract. But you can't compare him, man, because he's obviously a good guy. We talked about last week. He wants to be there and perform. You saw how happy he was on opening day when he got those 2 RBIs from a single, man. And just ever since then, he's hit .80, I think, since the first couple games of the season. He's had a terrible start of it. I don't see any signs of it getting better. We will talk about it. But before we get to the negatives, man, let's jump into the positives, right? So we swept the Rockies, which the Rockies I know are a terrible team. They're 4-23. And you see a lot on social media, Kyler, it was the Rockies. It was Coors Field. It was this. It was that. But the fact remains, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat and sweep the series you're supposed to sweep. And good teams do that, and the Reds did that last week.
No, I agree. Yeah, these are opportunities that are kind of like landslides. You pick up these wins. So when you get deeper in the season, you have those games that you can drop back on and still have that cushion you made from all these series you sweep that you're supposed to win.
Yeah, and when you say, the Reds are 3-7 in one-run games, and we've blown 2 late games. But all of that said, I believe we're 15-13. So we got a winning record. We're coming off a healthy team. I did see that Austin Hayes is having an MRI today. Unfortunately, I don't have that in the script. I just saw that he apparently rounding third in that double from, I think it was Gavin Lux yesterday. He got hurt and is having a little hamstring soreness, hopefully not too serious for Austin Hayes, a big part of the lineup. But we got business taken care of. And when you win those one-run games, that's what good teams do. And a couple years ago, the Reds won. They were, great at one-run games. And last year, they were like the worst in the MLB. And they're 3-7 this year, which is not good. But you have to factor in 3 of those were 1-0 shutout losses when the offense just seemed to be, really, really struggling.
Yeah.
So it's way too early in the year. And I'll give you an example, Kyler. Our Pythagorean win-loss is a lot better than our actual. And what I mean is our run differential is like plus 42. You would think we actually have one of the best. We're like the best in the NL and the third best in the MLB. We're not the third best team in the MLB. I'm nobody's saying we're the Dodgers. I'm not saying we're the Dodgers, not saying we're going to win 110 games. But you win games, you string together 4 and 5 in a row to make up for the 4 you lost a couple weeks ago in a row. Good teams do that. Good teams go on a couple 7-8 game win streaks during the season. They get hot. You do that a couple times, you're looking up and you're vying for first place. You're in a roster, you're in a playoff spot. The next thing you know, you're playing October baseball. And these guys want it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think a lot of people don't realize how tough it is for a small market team like the Reds, where we were kind of talking about Candelario's contract last week and a little bit today. You can't take swings like that and miss with a small market team. Like those contracts hurt. We talked about paying Ken Griffey up until recently on a contract, like from the early 2000s. So, like just like you said, like we can't go like the Dodgers and go buy and pay for whoever we want and win 110 games and just kind of know you're going to make it to the postseason every day. It doesn't work that way. So with a small market team, we like definitely have to be strategic with who we're paying, who we're putting out there, and like you said, just stringing those 5 to 6 wins here and there help give that cushion so we can get to the postseason.
It's funny you say that, big swings, right? And I agree. Jeimer Candelario, huge swing for the Reds. It's a $15 million contract. Teams throw 1 year, $20 million flyers out all the time. The Pirates are paying Charlie Morton, who is currently 0-3 with a 10.4 ERA. They're paying Charlie Morton like $15 million to play this year. 41-year-old Charlie Morton. That's not a lot of money in today's MLB, but for the Reds, that's a lot of money to throw at a guy. And it's worth noting, it's not a bad contract with Candelario. It's he was the, I think, second best bat available in that free agent class, if I look back and remember correctly. Nobody thought he was going to be the stud player, but he's a guy coming off a good year, had good metrics, was going to a small park in Cincinnati. It just hasn't worked out. Moustakas was the same way, by the way. And for all the hate the Reds get for these large projects that they sign and they don't close, they don't perform, they don't do well. As much hate as they get, they also get the Austin Hayeses, Kyler. They also get the Jose Trevinos. They get the Nick Martinez's, who had his first good start of the year yesterday, 6 innings, 1 run. They get these guys that they go out and get and go out and try to get, Kyler, that put together really good season in Cincinnati. And it's just the bad ones that stick around, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, and we really do have Tito to thank for a lot of those players we've acquired over the offseason, like Lux, Hayes, like he, and obviously us not as a MLB manager, he sees more than that we see, but you're so right. Like those bad contracts, like they stick out a lot more, especially for the Reds as a small market team. But we do and I think Tito did a great job with the offseason acquisitions of picking up players like that, like Hayes for $5 million on a 1 year, and he's looked dominant on the offense. So you just got to be more careful with moves like that with a small market team.
Yeah, 100%. And the question is you can't know the future, right? So you have to be more careful. But when you make mistakes, you have to be willing to eat that contract too. And the Reds have been. They cut Moustakas and Candelario, and then we'll talk about later, but probably is heading towards that same boat. But as we move into the series with St. Louis, and I say move into because we get this game canceled today. It'll be made up in a doubleheader tomorrow afternoon. We're 1 game back of the Cubs. There's a chance when we get to play tomorrow, Kyler, that we have a chance to go up a game or a half game on the Cubs if we win both those games. It'll be 2 7-inning games. Hopefully one of those games we have a bullpen free night, complete game, 7-inning game would be great. If Reds win both those games, Heaney deals against the Cubs today, and the Reds are basically they are. They're in standalone first place in the Central, and that is a huge, huge difference compared to almost any other year you can think of with the Reds starting out the season. And I think you owe a lot of that, like you said, in regards to the player acquisitions to Terry Francona.
No, yeah, 100%. I feel like every year as a Reds fan, just looking back, we've always been in a hole. We've always been trying to dig out of that hole, figuring out ways to win and whatnot. And this season, I know we started a little slow. We were a little worried kind of on here talking about what's going on. But no, seriously, the acquisitions we made, Tito's the manager, those are big deals for a small market team. Tito's a Hall of Fame manager. He knows what he's doing. I know at first we were a little worried, but he's obviously putting it together. Like
he doesn't know how to pay his water bill. Doesn't know how to pay his water bill, but knows how to manage a team.
Those are the guys that you want out there, though, because he breathes and sleeps baseball. So
I hope he does all that because he doesn't need a water to eat or breathe. But man, Tito's doing a great job, and he's having more people coming. You know, he obviously was given a roster by the front office that wasn't. I don't think this roster competes without him, to be honest. I think that we're at 75, 80 win team at max. But we're getting some good news back. So, Kyler, the next, big arm kind of, if you think about it this way, I think the Reds always say this in the offseason. Oh, well, a big free agent signing is getting McLean back from injury. A big free agent signing is getting this guy back from injury. This guy back from – that's what you hear. I've heard that. I know I have multiple times. And this time it's real, Kyler. The next big arm's coming. It's Rhett Lowder. He's scheduled for a Saturday bullpen, and, of course, it'll be a prolonged process after that, missing most of spring training. But it could be the spark the staff needs in a solid fifth starter option, Kyler. I know you are probably stronger on Nick Martinez than I am. But the fact of the matter to me is that Nick Martinez can throw 4 innings of great baseball and really struggles after that. Rhett Lowder could be our fifth starter as soon as he's back.
No, yeah, I agree. But it kind of goes back to the same argument of, does Nick Martinez move to the bullpen, or do you push Abbott out? Like, where do you go to put Lowder in as a starting arm?
Behind Abbott, I would think, right? I mean, so Martinez going 4 innings or 3 innings from the bullpen at a time is a huge asset, especially because he's so good at it. Martinez opening games for 2 or 3 innings. He's so good at it. Let him go out there and get your team in a good spot to win. Having a swingman like that's a huge asset to a team. If he needs to make a spot start, let him do it. We have bullpen room because we have guys like Alexis Diaz that aren't playing great. We have guys like Scott Barlow, who aren't playing great. We have guys like Jabot coming in and off the injured list. We have Lion Richardson off up's called up right now. We have room to add a pitcher. Rhett Lowder can be that guy. I think you move Martinez to the pen and have him be that swing man that starts every couple games. Maybe he needs to, opens a game or two. But doesn't
want to rest day if they need to.
Yeah, exactly. But if you need him, man, if you need a guy to go 2 or 3 innings in a game and just a competitive 2 or 3 innings, not a mop up 2 or 3 innings, I think that's where Martinez's real asset is. And I think a healthy Lowder means a lot for this rotation.
Yeah, no, I can see where you're going at, and I like the idea of Martinez almost being like a utility pitcher. Could maybe start if you need him to, come in as bullpen mid-game. You never know. He could be one of the middle reliefs that you put in, and you might not even need to pull a closer out. He could close out the entire game. So that's something I'm curious about, of if Lowder comes up, what that movement's going to look like with the pitching.
Well, Martinez did that last year, right? So last year for the Reds, he pitched in 42 games. He only started 16 of them. He threw 142 innings to a 3.10 ERA. He had a great year. This year, asking him to start every game, he's got a 4.68 ERA.
Yeah, he can't go deep. Like you said, it seems like he runs out of gas in the 4th inning, and then he starts getting rocked, and you're going to the bullpen really early in games.
And for his whole career in Major League Baseball, after he came back from Japan in 2021, he's been that guy that's been that swing guy. 47 games, 10 starts, and 22 with the Padres. 63 games, 9 starts, and 23. Comes to us, 42 games, 16 starts. He's been that guy every year. He's had games out of the bullpen. I don't know why we wouldn't leverage and utilize a guy like that. And I hope we do. I think that's the best way to use him, man. I really do. I think using him for that swing guy is the best way to maximize his effectiveness out of the bullpen and out of the rotation. But Lowder's supposed to come back in June, Kyler. So when he does come back, do you put him behind Abbott, or do you move Abbott and leave Martinez? Or obviously you might think differently about this than me.
Yeah, obviously anything can change by June. We could be in a completely different area. But I don't know. If it was me, I feel like I would start Nick Martinez moves to the pen, bump Abbott up to 4, Lowder 5th, and then obviously maybe look down the line about Lowder and Abbott switching. I kind of like Abbott as a 5th-day starter. Just he's crafty, but he's not striking people out like crazy and all that. So I don't know.
It sounds like a religion, a 5th-day starter. It's like a 7th-day evangelist. Like
but yeah, I don't know. I would say probably Martinez to the pen, Abbott 4th, Lowder 5th, and maybe switch Abbott and Lowder just depending on performance. What would you do?
Probably the same thing. Abbott's been good this year. He's kind of had the same issues that he's had the last couple of years in regards to like walks. He's walked 8 and 15 innings so far this year. So walks are an issue, but he's not giving up hits. Martinez is the opposite. Martinez throws strikes, but he gives up hits. They're pretty interchangeable guys. I think Martinez would be the better stuff if he wasn't 34. You want to see Abbott sort of grow, but I'm not sure how much growth there is for Andrew Abbott. I mean, when he came up, that was the thing. He's major league ready. I'm not sure how much growth potential he has. If I've seen him get much better. Now, he's been great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's now pitched. This next game will be his 50th game, Kyler. He's thrown over 250 innings to a 3.77 ERA. So I'm not saying he's not been a very good pitcher in the major leagues. What I'm saying is I don't know if he has that ace stuff. And so do you settle with that? Are you okay with using either of them in that role and just kind of depending on the day and the lineup? Because that'd be an option too.
Between
obviously,
Lowder
Abbott's a lefty, Martinez is a righty. If you have a team that's got a lot of lefties, throw Abbott out there.
So you're saying almost as if like interchange Martinez and Abbott just depending on the lineup and who's hot, who's not feeling well kind of thing.
I'm saying that, but I don't think Andrew Abbott has ever appeared. He is once in his career, in the entirety of being a major league ball player, twice in his career, in the entirety of being a professional ball player, came out of the bullpen. So I don't know how that would go. I have no clue how it would go. And one of those games was he got the save back in 2022 for the Lookouts in Chattanooga. So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of
spitballing out here.
But I could definitely see a place where that happens. In my opinion, though, Martinez is best served in the bullpen as a 6-man in the rotation when needed. Otherwise, a real innings eater out of the pen.
Yeah, I can see that. I would agree. Maybe if we get stuck, maybe 4th or 5th inning, Hunter Green, maybe let's just use as an example, is pretty high in his pitch count for some reason. That would be a good time for like Martinez to come out and kind of take over that, maybe get us to the 9th and pull closer, maybe 100%. Close it out.
No, I think that's exactly how I'd see them utilizing him. And I think you're right. I think it's a great opportunity. One, to save other arms in the bullpen too, right?
Right.
So we've talked about it the whole episode. We've kind of been bad about segmenting this, but Jeimer Candelario likely heading to the IL. So, Kyler, call it a benching, call it a phantom IL stint, or call it maybe the end of the era of Jeimer Candelario in Cincinnati. Do you think the Reds are moving on at this point, or do you think there might actually be an opportunity for him to come back onto the roster here?
I don't know. I can't speak on Tito too much on how he's handled players like this in his past with like the Red Sox and Cleveland. I just don't know him that well as a manager, but I just feel like it's hard to like just move on so quick on a player like that, especially with how much money we have invested into his contract. I don't know if I want to say we're giving up and moving on, but like, what do? Do you move him to AAA and try to give him some option? Does he even have options?
Yeah, you can't. He doesn't have options. So we would owe him every penny. He would likely deny the outright assignment. We would owe him every penny of that contract. You can't move him to AAA. What you can do is put him on a phantom IL stint, say, oh, he's got back pain. He came to me earlier. I said this is a real big league play by Candelario. The MLB is cracking down on fake IL stints. It used to be very common. It used to be a groin strain. They would say it was a groin strain. That would be the MLB's cracked down on those. This was Candelario coming to Terry Francona and saying, hey, man, I think I got some pain in my back. Wink, wink,
Yeah.
That's a big league move. And it takes a lot, by the way, it takes a lot of humbleness for a guy. It takes a lot of selflessness for a guy to do that. I was afraid, Candelario would be prideful and vengeful. And it takes a guy being really humble, man, to be okay with an assignment like that. And what they're doing is they're going to let him have a couple weeks off, 10 days, 7 days off. And then they're going to send him out there for a week and a half rehab stint, see if he can hit AAA pitching, see if he gets his timing right, and bring him up. What you do after that is you're either going to try to find a trade partner, which nobody's going to take on Jeimer Candelario at this point in time.
Yeah, he's too far deep right now.
You're either going to try to find a trade partner or you're going to just outright release him. Because he's not going to take an assignment in AAA. He's getting owed too much money. Even if you're getting paid $15 million a year, why would you go play AAA baseball and you can literally not play and still make the same amount of money?
Right.
It's also hard for the Reds because Candelario can't play multiple positions. He can play third, he can play first, but he can't play second, short, left, center, right, like Santiago Espinal can. And the guy who's up there right now earned playing time and genuinely earned playing time. I mean, he has hit the cover off the ball to the tune of 370 average, 431 on base, 696 slugging, and a 1.127 OPS, good for a 204 OPS plus, is Noelvi Marte. Noelvi Marte, who's third on the team in RBIs, despite only being on the team for like a week.
Dog. That's a dog right there.
It's consistent. It's everyone says, oh, well, he hit that grand slam against a position player. Oh, well, he hit the other in Colorado. So what? Every other player on the team was in Colorado. Every other player on the team got those opportunities against the position players. But you know who took advantage of the opportunity and has hit every game since, is on a 12-game hitting streak, is Noelvi Marte. He's a dog.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And it's so crazy, too, because we were so worried about him at the beginning of the season, just due to the Peds suspension last year, struggling. I don't know what's got. I think Tito. I think this is going back to like early February when we were on here talking about like the Tito effect. The way that he can get players to like almost do his bidding. It's almost like watching him play MLB The Show with his players sometimes. Like, just, I don't know how it's like magic.
So I'll say this. I read a story by Charlie Goldsmith in the Inquirer today. It was the Tito effect, but not in the way you would think. It was Mike Napoli, the famous slugging catcher and first baseman all those years for the Rangers, the Angels, MLB 2K12 legend Mike Napoli, I'd imagine. We might have played as him once or twice back in the day on our franchise mode, Kyler.
Juan Pierre.
He's in a. Oh, you hated Juan Pierre, man. You hated. For those that don't know, on MLB 2K12, Juan Pierre was a menace. You could contact swing with Juan Pierre, hitting the ball into the air, and every single time it would bloop into center field for a base hit because he had such little power.
It was deep enough infield couldn't get it, shallow enough outfield couldn't track it.
And we would play franchise together because they had an online franchise, which MLB The Show still can't figure out for some reason.
He would bat like 470 for you, just something insane.
Because every at bat, you just it was nonstop. Marte's putting up Juan Pierre numbers. It's kind of crazy. But getting back to Candelario, just before we move on to Marte and the great offense, Kyler, do you think that it's just business, or do you think to some extent do you think it's going to be a business decision if they cut him or keep him? Or do you think him being a solid guy, him really big leaguing this IL stint is going to give him an opportunity to come back and earn it one more time?
Business, 100%. I know how this Reds front office works. We've gotten out of a lot of different contracts. Moustakas is one that's recent. It's straight business. At least that's what the history of this office has shown. I don't know if you agree with me, but we are not afraid to cut people early on contracts. I think it's going to be all business.
Do you know that TikTok clip, Kyler, where it's like, Jorge Posada, dog. Alex Rodriguez, dog.
I think so.
They're talking about the different players, and he's like,
yeah.
Let me walk you through the starting lineup. 1, dog. 2, dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's walk through the guys the Reds have cut, right? So Will Myers, not a dog. Hunter Renfroe, not a dog. Michael Dawkins, not a dog. The point is they cut him. And so there's started to be this thing in Cincinnati sports Twitter about the Reds don't cut players. And I was really quick to be like, where do you get that idea? Like, I get they signed some bad contracts. Like, Will Meyer contract sucked, right? Sure. Hunter Renfroe sucked. Sure. Harrison Bader sucked. Sure. Right. But they get rid of them. They get rid of the players. They don't keep them. They get rid of them. So it's not something, man, that I don't think the Reds can action. It's not something they have not actioned in the past. It's something I trust them to take care of business of, and I totally agree it's a business decision.
Yeah, I was just looking at, I think I sent you a post like a week or two ago. It was the Moustakas, the Myers, Mike Ford, just a bunch of different, like Mike Ford lasted less than a month.
And I was hyped for Mike Ford, by the way, when he got called up. I was hyped for Mike Ford.
So I think it's going right back to business. I don't know where this rumor is going that we don't cut. I mean, I think we give people their chances. Don't get me wrong, but we cut.
Yeah. Well, no matter how many Chris Vallecas, Mike Fords, Lance Nixes, Paul Janish's, let's get a little bit more recent, Levi Jordan, Jacob Hurtavises, whoever you want to say we've allowed to get a ton of at-bats in this major league team that never panned out because the team won't spend money on these guys. No matter any of those guys, our lineup right now, let's give them the awards, Kyler, and let's give them some praise and some kudos because they're hitting, they're getting on base, and they're slugging with some of the stronger and best lineups in baseball. Yes, we won 24-2 against the Orioles, and yes, we just got out of Colorado. And yes, that does skew the stats, Kyler. But at the end of the day, we're 6th in the MLB in OPS. We have a 742 OPS. We're 9th in the MLB in slugging, 408, and we're 6th in the MLB in on base. We're the 6th best offense in baseball. Don't look now. It's the end of April. It's not no time. We're a fifth the way through the season with the 6th best offense in baseball.
And that's even with some people just not even producing like we projected too. Like De La Cruz, McLean has been kind of battling injuries. Steer is a big one. There's a lot of players that aren't producing the numbers we thought they would due to injury or whatever it might be as well, which is insane to me.
Well, so let's talk about that. Is this offense sustainable? And if it was Ellie De La Cruz that had the 1.1 OPS, right, like Austin Hayes does, and it was Matt McLean that had the 980 OPS, like I don't know, Noelvi Marte, right? I would say it's not sustainable. We're due for regression. But when I have Matt McLean with a 650 OPS and De La Cruz with a 770 OPS, and those guys I know are better hitters than that, and the real OPS the real damage is coming from Austin Hayes, Gavin Lux, who is actually, I think he leads the MLB in batting average, Kyler, as of today for qualified hitters, like 354 or something.
Yeah, is he still on a hitting streak that I met?
12 games.
I think I was about to say.
Yeah, so we have guys like Gavin Lux and Noelvi Marte leading the pack, and we have guys like McLean and De La Cruz falling behind. Kyler, I think it's sustainable. I'm starting to become a believer in this Reds offense because the real Reds offensive players, Stevenson's not even back yet. He'll be back hopefully this weekend. The real offensive players aren't even hitting yet. It's the backup guys, the bench guys, the seventh hitters, the guys that aren't supposed to be contributors are some of the best hitters in baseball. And for that reason, I think this is sustainable.
I agree with you, especially like we talked about, like Lux was probably going to be more of a utility guy, never a big hitter producing. Wenz came up, was backup for Trevino. Dog, just crushing it. Marte thought he was going to struggle, came up, crushing it. So like you said, we still have these guys like De La Cruz that can pop off, and McLean and Steer once he gets healthy, and Hayes came back from an injury and popped off. So I agree with you. I don't know if we're going to remain a top 10 offense. Yeah. But we might be more middle of the pack towards the end of the year, maybe edging that top 10. but I think it's somewhat sustainable. I'm right there with you that our backup guys, our utility guys that we didn't think much of on the offense is producing.
We'll have to watch out, Kyler, for what that looks like towards the end of the year. And I'm not saying we're a top 5 offense, but I really think we can be a top 10. And a lot of these answers of what kind of offense we're going to be are going to be answered in the next couple of weeks. We have Candelario coming back. I'm sorry, Candelario going to the IL, Stevenson coming back. There's a lot of roster movement to happen here shortly, Kyler. There's a lot of roster movement. None bigger than the 3 catcher dilemma. Now, last year, the 3 catchers was Kurt Casale, Luke Maley, and Tyler Stevenson. 2 guys that couldn't hit and 1 guy that could hit, and we tried to play first base. This year, it's Tyler Stevenson, Austin Wynns, and Jose Trevino, which are 3 dogs in the batter's box. I'm not as mad about 3 catchers this year, but we'll find out. We have a lot to look at towards that. We have, Rhett Lowder coming back and what his introduction into the rotation or Reds pitching staff looks like for other guys, such as Martinez or Wade Miley, who got set back with a groin injury. And lastly, Kyler, we have to kind of find out just how far the Reds are going to push this winning streak. And if they're going to go to, I think it was 2023, won like 11, 12 in a row, 14 in a row, something like that. It was a crazy win streak. If we can pull off another one of those, we're putting ourselves in real good position to ride out even towards the All-Star break and be buyers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I hope to see it. I really think if we're going to scratch the postseason, make the postseason, it's probably this year.
Yeah, I don't even think it's just this year. I think we have to do it this year to get some of these guys locked down. The hype the Reds had in 2020 from signing Moustakas, Castellanos, we had Trevor Bauer won the Cy Young Award. Guys wanted to come play in Cincinnati in 21. They wanted to be there. We need those guys back now. And the only way we get those guys back, guys that want to play here, when we get those extensions and stuff, is by creating a competitive team now and a winning culture now. Because Terry Francona only takes you so far, and that was shown by Matt McLean not even wanting to talk about an extension. The Reds have tried to sign Brady Singer to an extension. He hasn't wanted to talk about it. Put together a winning – make a playoff run. I'm not saying you got to win the World Series. We got to get through the Dodgers. I'm not saying that's – I'll be the number 1 guy up here if we're playing the Dodgers in the NLCS saying we're beating the Dodgers. But I'll be real with you right now. We're probably not beating the Dodgers. We have their number, but playoffs are different. But make a run. Show the world you're for real, and you have a real core of players. Be willing to spend the money, and you'll put a good team together for a long time. But until they prove that, if you have the team on the field right now, Kyler, you're right. We have to win now.
It's just like I've used this analogy a lot. It's just like the Bengals, man. No one wanted to come to Cincinnati and play for the Bengals. It was all drama. Mike Brown didn't want to pay players, which is kind of still true. But we got Burrow. We drafted Burrow, paired him with Chase, signed T, which I know is controversial, and I know that's not the right sport we're talking about now. But they built that winning tradition that players want to sign and play with Joe Burrow. And you got to do the same thing here. Like just like you said, we need to be as serious and competitive as any baseball team with our small market. We need to win. We need to get interest from like off-season free agents that want to sign with us. We want those contract extensions. That's how you stay in the game. If not, you're going to slip. You're going to look like the Rockies, where you're a smaller market team and no one wants to go play with you. So your only option out of that is drafting.
And we were there 2 years ago, and then we drafted out of it, right?
Yeah.
The Rockies were 4-23 right now. They're on pace for a worse start than the White Sox. Everyone's talking about how bad it is. Everyone's forgotten the Reds 2 years ago, went 3-22 to start the year. They won the opening day, went 2-22 after that. That was terrible. Jason Bossler, not Chris Blake. That's about Jason Bossler. That was a guy hit a home run on opening day. It was we sucked. That was. Yeah. I couldn't even watch the Reds play baseball. Put the money into it. And you have to not be afraid to take swings. So when you miss on a guy like Candelario, it's okay. Because I'll tell you what, if the Reds would have spent $30 million a year on Kyle Tucker, the way the Cubs did, and say what you want about the Cubs payroll because they own their TV rights, at the end of the day, the Cubs are in Chicago with another team competing for a market that's medium-sized, trying to share that market. They're an example of a well-run small market team. Oakland Athletics are a small market team. They spent money this offseason. I'm sorry, the Athletics are a small market team. They spent money this offseason.
No longer Oakland.
Yeah, Sacramento Athletics. It's the A's. The A's, I think, is what it.
Can't keep up. Lost the Raiders. Lost the A's.
No, nothing much left.
People don't want to be in Oakland.
I'm not gonna sit here and rant, but pay your players, create a winning culture, and players. If you build it, they will come. Is the point, right?
Yeah, and going back to it, Tito, it's a big name. I know that we didn't have a lot of time this year to kind of prove that, but I think if we can have a successful season this year, I think off season next year we're going to be pretty surprised at what the Reds can pull off. Having Tito as a manager, having a good season, if we made the postseason, all that good stuff, I think we can get those extensions and those bigger free agent signings.
I totally agree with you. I think we definitely can. I think we can be a competitor this year and hopefully even more so next year if we can compete this year. But that's going to wrap up this episode of Reds Access, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, Kyle and I will be back next Tuesday with more breakdowns, series reviews, hot takes, everything you know about the Cincinnati Reds. A couple things like definitely to point out, like Rhett Lowder and what's going to happen with that. Mention how far the Reds can push the streak, and also some more information regarding Jeimer Candelario and his IL stint, presumably by that time. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and keep the conversation going. Of course, comments help us out a ton. Subscriptions help us out. You guys have been great with that. We're about to hit 50 subscribers here on the channel. And as always, of course, rounding third and headed for home. Again, for Kyler Osterberger and myself, go Reds.